serving the Republic of the Philippines for more than 75 years. Ito po ang Presidential Broadcast Service.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday paid his highest respect to the gallantry and bravery of 44 members of the Philippine National Police or PNP Special Action Force or SAF in Silang Cavite Province. The Day of National Remembrance for the heroic sacrifice of SAF 44 took place at the PNP Academy or PNPA, wherein the Commander-in-Chief and PNP officials remember the heroism of the SAF 44 through a wreath laying at the Monument of the Fallen Heroes. With this year's theme, Valiant Men with Unparalleled Devotion to God, Country, and People, a Blessing to a Victorious Nation, the National Day of Remembrance is pursuant to Presidential Proclamation Number 164 declaring the 25th of January every year as a day to honor and remember the sacrifices of the SAF 44 members. The occasion also serves as an unyielding tribute to recognize the good deeds and acts of all uniformed personnel in the line of duty. Let's now listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
9 years ago, 44 brave men died without seeing the dawn of peace bloom on the land their blood made hallow. Today we remember their heroism and honor the sacrifice that they have made. It is a debt that we will never be able to fully pay, no matter how we try it with deeds to prove that they have not died in vain. It remains an obligation that we will never extinguish, no matter how often we give meaning to their valor. So how do we pay homage to these brave men, whose gallantry no memorial can fully capture, whose courage no words can fully extol? It is by working tirelessly to realize their dreams for their families, for their children, for their comrades, for the people. It is now up to us who live, who benefited from their full measure of devotion to duty, to build a kinder and gentler society, wherein those they have left behind can live in peace and prosperity. That is the mission that they have left us to pursue when they did not return from their last patrol. In their last hours, in that place of honor, we can draw many important lessons. The lessons such as to put nation before self, to display courage under fire, to resolve to forge ahead, to never give up. We would also be disrespecting their memory if we give quarter to those who terrorize our people. We would be devaluing their valor if we cede our territory to those who would trespass upon it. Although fighting machines they were not apostles of permanent war. They were warriors for peace who wanted to see the day when swords were pounded into plowshares. Let us work towards that day. To the loved ones of these heroes, we know that 9 years after that fateful day, no words can fully ease the pain that I know you still feel. I can only hope that you can find comfort knowing that a grateful nation, still nursing a wound in their hearts, feels deeply and as much. To the comrades in arms of the brave 44 who wear the insignia of the departed, honor their memory by never letting down the flag that they fought for. Be worthy stewards of their devotion to duty, their fidelity to the oath, and their love of country. Be the patriots and professionals who are driven by the same fearlessness and fortitude that the SAF 44 had shown. My countrymen, the defiant stand of the brave 44 still echoes today. It is a clarion call for unity and action against any challenge that we might face. Let our reverence for these men be always accompanied by a deeper reflection, so we too can summon the fight in ourselves to build a better future for our nation. Huwag natin pababayaan ang kapayapaan na kanilang ipinaglaban. Sa pagpupugay sa SAF 44, patuloy tayong magsisikap tungo sa isang bagong Pilipinas. Mabuhay ang ating mga bayaning Pilipino. Mabuhay ang SAF 44. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas.
And you just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news stories, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday lauded the para-athletes who won medals in the 4th Asian Para Games in China, saying that they inspired every Filipino and the nation for their feat. During the awarding in Malacañang of incentives to the medalists of the 4th Asian Para Games, the President said to the athletes to continue breaking barriers and make sports a unifying force in the country. Let us now listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
I am here today before you not just as your president, but as a fan. Because when it comes to supporting athletes who compete under our flag, I am the cheerleader-in-chief, self-appointed. It is just fitting that we are honoring our nation's para-athletes here in the Heroes Hall, for this is what best describes what you are and who you are. Speaking of heroes and halls in Malacañang, most buildings here sport generic names, and only one, the biggest, honors an individual, Apolinario Mabini. Mabini, who after losing the use of his legs, used his brilliant mind to rally the people to rise up, to fight and chase the freedom that we so well deserve. Ganon din po kayo. You do not let your disability discourage you from doing what you wanted, nor did it deter you from achieving your dreams. To say that para-athletes are of a different breed and made of harder stuff is an understatement. Most athletes push themselves to meet the Olympic standards of being faster, stronger. Para-athletes have to unchain themselves from even stronger restraints so you can soar higher, hurdle bigger obstacles so you can run faster, crush more powerful burdens that weigh you down so that you are, in fact, stronger. It is with tremendous pride that I congratulate the para-athletes who all gave your best at the 4th Asian Para Games in Hangzhou, China last October. You have brought home a rich haul of 19 medals and bringing us to 9th place in a highly competitive field of 44 countries. You have done that by showing your country the image of what a dauntless Filipino should be. You have projected that adversity can be overcome, impairment can harness inspiration, and barriers can be bridges to triumphs. Kung kaya nyo, kaya ng lahat ng Pilipino. Kung kaya ng Philippine Para-Athletic National Team, kaya ng Pilipinas, kaya ng bagong Pilipinas. You are the poster boys and girls for surmounting the odds. It is only fitting that apart from the thanks of a grateful nation, we also present you with incentives to help you along. At alam naman natin, napakaraming pangangailangan kapag tayo lumalaban sa pag tayo lumalaban dito sa mga international sports competition. So, as we hand these to you, remember that these are not merely monetary tokens. They are symbols of the love of your countrymen and their admiration for all the sacrifices that you have made for your country and for your countrymen. I will be remiss if I do not congratulate your fellow winners, your coaches, your parents, the loved ones who are here with us today. They deserve to proudly stand on the podium with you. Also, for being by your side and sharing the agony of setbacks and the thrill of triumph that you have now brought to the Philippines. Kaya naman po, ako'y natutuwa na itininan ng Philippine Sports Commission ang ika-34 na anibersaryo ng inyong pagkakatatag sa paggawad ng mga pabuya sa ating mga bayaning atleta. If your mandate is to promote sports that are inclusive, then it must include a sector that is fighting for inclusivity. If your mission is to mainstream sports in all aspects of national life, then it begins by bringing into the fold those who are seen to be in the margins. For nearly 3.5 decades, the Commission has done and fulfilled that duty. The fruits of their labor should not be reflected on scoreboards and medals won alone. Engaging your performance, the medals won by the few come second to how sports are enjoyed and played by the masses. The overall objective is to promote sports down to the grassroots, not to merely create a talent farm for national teams, but to use sports for nation building. A good sports program goes beyond trophy collecting. It should harness our collective strengths to realize the common good. So we must train, we must fund and nurture our national sporting elite that is able to compete with the world's best so they can bring us pride and glory and inspiration. We can do that together with mass sports that build a robust national spirit that serves a common goal. Sports prepares us for the citizenship duties that we must perform. Sports spurs us on to strive, not for easy goals, but for the hard ones. Sports teaches us not to fear our failures, but rather to savor and to learn from them. They push us to pursue our impossible dreams. It is this way that we are taught to work together, energized towards a common goal. Sports is unity applied in real life. It brings together our very best traits, that of passion, of endurance, and persistence, and amidst very great diversity. These are values which any Filipino may embody, regardless of their circumstances. These are the values upon which the foundations of our nation are anchored. Fighting words alone do not make sports bloom, neither do they create champions. This requires ample facilities across the country for athletes of all sports, of all ages, in all classes. We are boosting support for our athletes, their coaches, and their families. We are building athletic infrastructure from gyms, athletic ovals, even safe sidewalks. Kasi nga, di ba, pag medyo mataas ang kolesterol mo, ang reseta ng doktor ay 10 milligrams of statin and 10,000 steps a day. May butika sa gamot, pero walang tindahan ng sidewalk kung saan ka pwede maglakad. This brings me to another of sports' great value to us as a wellness tool that makes our people healthy, kasama na rin dyan ang ating mental health. So now I call on the PSC, as well as every sports association and community in the country, to continue breaking barriers, challenging stereotypes, building a nation where sports serve as an inclusive and unifying force. In so doing, we can look forward to a new Philippines, bagong Pilipinas, that is bound by the ideals of industry, integrity, and teamwork, and committed to the pursuit of greatness and excellence. And you fall into a very special category, because beyond the glory that you bring to our country, you continue to inspire the nation. you continue to inspire every single Filipino. Kung kaya nila na magkamedalya, kung kaya nila sa kanilang kondisyon, ay nagagawa nila ito, siguro naman, tayo mga pangkaraniwan na Pilipino, ay mas lalo pa natin kaya. And that's what inspires all Filipinos to see again our countrymen overcome the difficulties that you have been born with, but nonetheless have overcome those difficulties to bring glory not only to yourselves, not only to your families, but to our country. And that is the greatest achievement of all as far as I am concerned.
And you just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, Malacañang on Wednesday announced that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has extended the consolidation deadline for public utility vehicles or PUVs until the 30th of April. Presidential Communications Office or PCO Secretary Cheloy Garofil said the President extended the deadline upon the recommendation of Department of Transportation or DOTR Secretary Jaime Bautista. In a statement, Secretary Garofil said that the extension is to give an opportunity to those who express intention to consolidate but did not make the previous cutoff. Early December last year, President Marcos rejected calls to extend the December 31st deadline for the consolidation of PUV operators and drivers. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board or LTFRB reported that 145,721 units or 76% of PUVs and Utility Vehicle or UV Express have consolidated. PUVs that failed to consolidate under cooperatives on December 31, 2023 and those plying routes with no cooperatives can operate until January 31st of 2024 only. Unconsolidated jeepneys and routes with at least 60% of units that consolidated would no longer be able to renew their provisional authorities to operate. Under the government's PUV Modernization Program or PUVMP, operators and drivers will be organized into cooperatives or corporations to ensure the efficiency of its operations with an upgraded fleet of low-carbon emission, safe, and efficient PUV units. Meanwhile, House Speaker Martin Romualdez welcomed President Marcos Jr.'s decision, stressing that the chief executive is not blind nor deaf to the sentiments and concerns of the people. Speaker Romualdez said the president recognizes the issue's impact on the local transportation sector and that it comes at a crucial time when the community navigates challenges in the transport industry. The decision of President Marcos came after Romualdez and other House leaders met leaders of transport groups and transport officials led by LTFRB Board Chairperson Chofilo Guadis III. The House Committee on Transportation has adopted a resolution urging President Marcos to reconsider the lapsed December 31 consolidation deadline. During its motu proprio hearing on Wednesday, the panel approved the resolution calling for an extension of the consolidation period until the government can come up with a concrete plan to address the major issues in the program's implementation.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news stories, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday convened the Philippine delegation of the Conference of Parties or COP28 to discuss the key outcomes of COP28 and present the draft of the Nationally Determined Contribution or NDC Implementation Plan 2023 to 2030, as well as the Philippine National Adaptation Plan or NAP 2023 to 2050 at the State Dining Room in Malacañang Palace. During the meeting, Department of Environment and Natural Resources or DENR Secretary Maria Antonia Yulo Loizaga presented the key outcomes of COP28. These include the improvement of energy capacity by 2030, transitioning away from fossil fuels in energy systems in a just and orderly manner, accelerating zero and low emissions technologies and reduction of emission from road transport, adopting the United Arab Emirates or UAE framework for climate resilience by 2030, commitment budget for loss and damage or LD funds, operationalization of LD with the World Bank as interim hosting, and call for scale up in concessional and grant for climate change. Apart from the key outcomes, the NR Secretary Loizaga discussed the key wins for the country which focus on the nexus of biodiversity and climate action, inclusion of workforce as important implements, firm commitment to use available science, and emissions avoidance. Furthermore, the DENR Secretary presented the NAP 2023 to 2050 and the NDC Implementation Plan 2023 to 2030, where she emphasized the requested actions from President Marcos Jr. These focus on adoption of both NAP and NDC as basis for climate, approve the adaptation and implementation plans upon formal concurrence of relevant agencies for sectoral application, and urge agencies to mainstream both plans in the development planning and budget processes of the government.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Embassy of Israel in the Philippines on Wednesday said that a Filipino soldier of the Israel Defense Forces or IDF was among those killed in a massive explosion in Gaza on the 22nd of January. Sergeant First Class Cedric Garin was a combat sergeant in the 8,208th Battalion of the 261st Brigade. The 23-year-old Garin was slain together with 20 other soldiers during an attack that caused a Gaza compound being prepared for demolition to collapse upon them. They were tasked to destroy structures, allowing Hamas to observe and fire on Israeli forces. A report by Israel's Taspit Press Service or TPS said a Palestinian terror squad fired an anti-tank missile at the adjoining homes in the complex. Consequently, the explosives being used by the Israeli forces to demolish the compound detonated and the two buildings collapsed. The compound was located in the area of Al-Mawazi, about 600 meters from the Israeli border. IDF spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said a rocket-propelled grenade or RPG was fired by Hamas at a tank securing the forces, and simultaneously an explosion occurred at two-story buildings. Hagari added that the buildings collapsed due to the explosion, while most of the forces were inside and near them. In a statement, the Philippine Embassy and Filipino community in Israel extended its condolences to the family of Sergeant Garin and expressed commitment to support his loved ones during this challenging time. The Israeli Embassy is currently facilitating the travel of Garin's father to Israel. Garin lived in Tel Aviv with his mother, Imelda Garin. He was enlisted in the IDF and joined the Givati Brigade. In April 2021, he received recognition from the Southern Command for being an outstanding soldier in the unit.
Dateline Malacañang.
One of the two Filipinos arrested in Japan for allegedly abandoning the bodies of a married couple in Tokyo has denied any involvement in the crime. In a television interview on Wednesday, Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA Deputy Assistant Secretary Brian Lau reported that Hazel Ann Bagisa Morales, one of the arrested Filipinos, already has a court-appointed counsel that denied all the accusations against her. He added that Morales assures her family that she's all right. The DFA can provide Morales with a private lawyer upon her request. Morales was arrested on Friday after 55-year-old Norihiro Takahashi and his 52-year-old wife Kimie were found dead in their residence in Tokyo's Adachi Ward. According to Kyodo News, the couple's bodies were found with multiple stab wounds and signs of struggle. The Philippine Embassy in Tokyo have not visited the other Filipino male who was also arrested for the alleged involvement in the crime. Lau explained that Japanese authorities conducted an investigation following the couple's child report that they were missing until their bodies were found covered with plastic. He added that it has not been confirmed whether the accused know each other. Earlier, DFA Undersecretary Eduardo de Vega clarified that the accused were arrested due to abandonment and not for killing the couple. In Japan, anyone could be charged with abandonment upon failure to report finding dead bodies.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news stories, the Philippine Department of Information and Communications Technology or DICT on Wednesday said that the agency plans to double the number of free public Wi-Fi sites in the country. This, according to DICT Undersecretary David Almirol, is to support the digitalization of local government units or LGUs as well as the electronic LGU or e-LGU apps of cities and municipalities across the country. The e-LGU is a mobile application that combines all government services such as business permit licensing, community tax, local civil registry, among others. Undersecretary Almirol said internet connectivity is needed to effectively implement the e-LGU. According to the DICT, 60% of LGUs in the country are already digitalized. Compared to data from 2018, wherein 50 billion pesos from business tax, fees, and charges were collected by local governments because of digitalization, this increased to 200 billion pesos this 2022 or 4 times higher. Before the end of 2023, the government have installed an additional 25,000 free Wi-Fi sites.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, we would like to invite everyone to come and visit our Facebook page at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Steph Vicente. Good day and stay safe, everyone.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.